Isaiah.
Oh, hold on, my fault. All right, I'm back.
Praise God.
What's good, John?
What's good, my man?
Hey, brother Josh. That class today
What
was
up,
that
cousin?
that was a very good class.
Praise God.
So I got a question. Like, if somebody was to like sin under like the influence of something, like say they were to get drunk or they've been drugged or something, and they were to sin, would God hold that against them?
If somebody else drugs them or if they do it to themselves,
Like, if,
no, that's not your fault. You know, somebody poisoned you. That's why in ancient Israel that type of stuff was like illegal, like, have poisons and stuff that could alter the mind and stuff like that. If somebody else does it, no, that's not your fault. It's
okay.
their fault. They made you do it. You follow what I'm saying?
So does that sin fall on them?
Yeah, because they did it to you. Yes,
Okay.
they made you
And,
do that. Like if somebody get you drunk or high and they hit you with they put something in your drink, they got you just so messed up that you go out and you shoot somebody, right? In a court of law, if it can be proven that you were drugged and that you have no history of doing anything like this, you would get off. And if they could find out who did it, they would arrest them.
okay. And what is it that what is it that defines an elder? Like, what? How big of an age difference does it have to be?
Well, by definition, elder just simply means older. That's all it means, your brother, right? The Bible never gives a specific time frame, but it does seem to like hover around the age of 50 because that was the time when when you wanted to enter the priesthood, you had like between the age of 30 and 50 to do it, and you had to retire at the age of 50 because they consider that like going beyond your priestly duties, right? So when Jesus was saying that Abraham rejoiced to see his day, first thing they said, you're not even 50 years old yet. So they threw that 50 out there again. So there's no definitive age, but they seem to like to hover around that 50. I noticed that a minute, quite a bit, like indicate like, okay, you old now. That's why the priests had to retire at they had a mandatory retirement at the age of 50. You follow what I'm saying?
Hmm. And as far as like respecting your elder, like what defines like respect? Is it like a tone thing? Because like if I was to try to talk to my pastor, that's my elder, and I was trying to tell him what I've learned or something like that, should I like go about it in a way it's like okay, he's still my elder, or like maybe he believed in the false doctrine? Should I like say that's a lie, or should I use like a more milder term because he is my elder?
Paul said, Paul said, don't rebuke an elder, but entreat him as a father. So you're supposed to come to him with the same respect you would come to your father with if you had something you want to bring to his attention.
Hmm. Okay. And my other question is, um, so I know Jesus wasn't fully God when he was on earth, but did he like become fully God again when he went back to heaven?
Well, he said to the Father in John 17 to give me the glory I had with you before the world was. So whatever that glory was, he asked for that same glory to be returned. Do you believe he was fully God before he came to earth?
Yeah.
So then that means he got the same glory back. He didn't say give me some of it. He didn't say give me a portion. Give me about 90. He said give me the glory I had with you before the world was even created. This is before we even got into some incarnation stuff, right? Before we even got into a heaven and an earth with people on it. You understand?
Hmm.
So he said, "Give me that glory I had with you before the world was, before there even was such thing as an earth with animals and people on it."
And can we keep our family members' ashes?
You can, but I'm just you don't want to keep them or something.
No, I just want to know if that was like if I get rid of them or anything, if it was like pagan or something like that.
I haven't read anything specifically in the Bible that forbids that. I know that in some cases, if you're dealing like with the temple, that would have been probably seen as something unclean, but you're not a priest and you're not trying to officiate in the temple of God. But other than that, I haven't come across anything that just simply says just having ashes in an urn in and of itself is like a sin.
Actually, I have one homie. He has a necklace of his brother's ashes. Would that be a sin?
I know a guy, he has the same thing with his sister ashes. I wouldn't say it's a sin, but it's kind of like you're not really letting go. See, when people do stuff like that, this is just my opinion. Keeping your family's ashes and stuff. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just personally me. It's like you really haven't let go, like actual part of them around. You follow what I'm saying? Like you go, you see it on your mantle. And I know people that even talk to their family ashes. I've seen them do it. You know what I mean? You know, and because I also analyze stuff not just from a spiritual perspective, but also from a psychological perspective. You got to ask yourself, why do you want to keep your loved one's ashes? Like, why do you want to keep them? You follow what I'm saying? Rather than just lay them to rest, right? It's not anything wrong that you're doing if you do decide to keep them or sin, but you have to admit that it's some kind of I don't want to let go type of syndrome that's going on there. Like you want your mom ashes, I want them right here because I want my mom in my house with me. I want my mom around me. You follow what I'm saying? So you're still kind of holding on to something about your mother. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying when a loved one passes, you're supposed to let the memory, the love, and the thoughts of them go. I'm not saying that. But if you were dating a woman and y'all broke up and she left a sweater over your house and forgot about it, what would you do with the sweater, Isaiah? If you immediately discover it, I ain't saying like 3 years later you digging in your closet and you see her sweater, like, oh man, I'm not gonna call that female up no 3 days later and tell about that sweater. Like, give it to Goodwill or give it to my sister something, right? But like, say like after y'all been broken up for say a week and it's over and you come across that sweater, what would you do with it?
I feel like I could just give it back to her.
I would keep it and wear it.
Because
what?
And you'd be sinning because you'd be wearing a female sweater because you don't supposed to dress in female's clothing.
Dang.
Now, if it's man put on a woman's garments, that's the law. We don't supposed to cross dress. We don't supposed to be wearing women's attire.
Why would I having like their boyfriend's or brother's sweater? I've never seen like.
What do I say? It's her sweater. Do I say her sweater? Right? Because it's her like a female sweater. Just be specific with it. It's a female sweater, and she just happened to leave it over there. Anything that belongs to her. If you discover it, why would you hold on to it, Gideon, if you discover it and it's over? If you ain't gonna give it to like one of your female relatives or something, why would you hold on to it? You follow what I'm saying? That means like you haven't really let her go. And what's the next woman gonna say if she comes over and she comes across that sweater and she be like, don't no other females live with you and your sister don't wear this size. Whose sweater is this? Now you got to open up a whole can of worms. Oh, this is my ex sweater. What, did she move to Africa after she broke up with you or something? Nah, why you get her sweater back? And to a lot of people like that, not just women, sometimes people will intentionally leave stuff behind because they really don't want to go, have a way back in or an excuse back in. But if that's not the case with them, why would you be holding on to something that you're done with on that level? Like when our loved ones pass away, when their bodies can no longer conversations with us and they're gone and that's it, why are we holding on to their remains? You follow what I'm saying? That's why a lot of people have gone to therapy about this very thing, and they find it therapeutic when they take their loved one's ashes and they scatter them somewhere. It's like a great weight is being lifted off of them, right? So again, I'm not against anybody keeping their families or members' ashes or remains, but that is kind of you just saying to yourself, I need something of them around, a literal physical part of them around me, because they're gone. And if that helps you cope better with it, more power to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't knock the process. I just knock the result. That's what I do. If the results are bad, then we got a problem. But if it's helping you cope and deal with the grief, keep them ashes right there on your mantle. You feel me?
And I'll go after I say this. But can we, like, somewhere in the near future, can we get a class on that Pentecostal movement, or the start of like people acting crazy in church? Because I remember you and Cream Corn was talking about
Right.
that before. I mean, I really want
Oh
that
yeah,
class.
man. Yo, we can definitely do that, man, because it's a lot of stuff. The biggest reason why, let me tell y'all how, like, I'm just gonna give y'all the secret. This is the secret, right? History. They say those that forget history. Did y'all know that a lot of stuff that people teaching right now, like in older days, like maybe a couple of 100 years ago, people been found out that these guys were charlatans, they were liars, But the problem is history forgets. And we forget that then a few generations later, somebody jumps up and they do the same thing. And then you do your research and they say, man, we ran the guy out of town 100 years ago or 50 years ago for doing the same thing, right? And the problem is, once we recognize a deception, we don't frame it, future generations won't fall for the same old stuff. This stuff that they're teaching about the speaking in tongues and stuff, the way they've been doing it, this stuff was debunked and exposed like 100 years ago, 150 years ago, right? They been knew that, but generations forget. And what charlatans, if you was a charlatan like a snake oil salesman, they didn't necessarily kill you, but they probably tar and feather you. And if you survived that, they'd run you out of town, right? And the problem is, when they ran you out of town, you didn't really learn your lesson. You just went over to another town, hit the reset button, and started the grifting all over again. They anyway, like, yo, we just kicked this lion snake oil salesman. This is what he looked like. We just kicked him out of our town, right? This is what he said to us, And a lot of people didn't care. They just, as long as he ain't over here running this game on us, right? Nowadays, with all this technology, Satan now thrives on our tendency to forget. That's what he does. So this same stuff just keeps happening over and over again. How many times, Isaiah, have you heard of somebody predicting the end of the world? Like they saying the world gonna end. How many times have you heard it just in your life that you can
Many.
think of?
Can't even count.
Give us a number. Just if you had to guess off the top of your head.
10 maybe.
10. Did you know that if you go back to every how old are you, by the way, AC?
I'm 15.
You 15. If you go back to the time that, say, your dad was 15, I guarantee you, for that year, however, whatever year it was when he was 15, you had some guy saying the world was going to end that year or shortly thereafter. You go back to the time when his grandfather was 15, and so on and so forth. And let me ask you a question. Did your dad ever tell you when he was growing up that somebody was claiming the world was going to end?
My daddy kind of left my mom. I don't really keep in touch with him like that.
Did anybody in the previous generation ever tell you that? Like your uncle or your auntie? Did
I'm
they?
sure my mom might have probably mentioned something like that before. I don't remember though.
Right. And and see, here's the thing. The reason why I'm telling you this stuff is because this stuff happens in the previous generation and our parents don't tell us nothing. Oh, this guy, when I was growing up, it's the same old stuff. They don't even have what they're doing. See, the next generation is supposed to warn, the previous generation is supposed to warn the next generation about charlatans. Perfect example. Cream Corn, Dre, and Kev of the Dut, not Kev of the Dut, but Kevin J. Y'all heard about what happened with Polite, right?
Why?
Kevin J, Dre, y'all still there? That's exactly. That's why I asked them, right? That's why I asked them. See, and see, that's why I asked them, Gideon, because I know you don't know, and most of the audience don't know. Do you know who Malachi York is, Gideon? Ever hear of him?
No.
See, that's the thing. The reason why I'm bringing these people up is because in the early 2000s, and this guy had been going since like the late 60s, there was this cult leader named Dr. Malachi Z. York. He was teaching people that he was He didn't come right out and say it, but he'd read them to him. He even went by the nickname of the Lamb. One of his name was Rabbi Joshua. Like somebody know about the Nuwabians. He run a group of people named Nuwabians, right? He was a bona fide cult leader. His compound was in Eatonton, Georgia, right? He told people all kinds of crazy stuff, had all these weird interpretations of the Bible, the Quran, you name it. He ended up going to jail and was sentenced, prison, and was sentenced for 135 years for numerous acts, right? What happens after he does this? A guy named Polite comes up. A lot of people knew that Polite was a student of Malachi York. And he even confessed, despite the child molestation charges and Malachi York admitting on trial that he did it. Polite still said, that's going to be my teacher, my God. I'm a diehard for him, whatever, right? When he first came into the community, it wasn't a Christian community. It was another dark side that they got this side called the conscious community, right? He came into the conscious community, and even though when he first came, he was promoting the same Malachi York that everybody witnessed, confessing this. As time went on, people slowly stopped associating him with Malachi York, and he became his own man, even though he copied Malachi York to a T. Guess what ended up happening to him? He ended up going to jail for child molestation charges. But how did that happen? How did that happen? How was he able to infiltrate that community and do that and get away with that to the point where he got caught up like that? That should have never even been able to happen because we don't teach this stuff to the next generation. When Malachi York did what he did, it should have been an APB. Anybody who mentions this dude coming to our community saying that's his ex-teacher, that's his teacher, and he still got respect for him, run him out of here. Get him up out of here. He's not allowed. And some people had that attitude, but not enough. And eventually, he just did the exact same thing. I watched the whole thing. I'm 43 years old. I'm pretty sure Kareem Corn kept up with a bit of it himself too, depending on how I watched the whole thing. Remember, I'm 43. I first came across this dude when I was 19, Malachi York. And then about 3 or 4 years later, I started hearing about Polite. Malachi York went to jail in 2001. We don't tell doing the same thing over and over again. It's the first previous generation. That's why I be telling y'all, I don't heard this before. Now the false prophets, now their children. You follow what I'm saying? Like, dude, I already had this debate with your dad. I heard this before. And a lot of y'all come in. This ain't no respect to anybody on Discord. Love my Discord, love my Rumble, love my YouTube. But now we got the 15-year-olds and the 16-year-olds coming at us with the same stuff. And I'm like, dude, I debated this with your dad, with your granddad. Your granddad or your dad should have told you about me. Yo, that's Josh. Man, I debated that dude, man, 12 years ago. Man, leave him alone. We ain't telling our children this stuff. And that's why people keep coming in running the same game. Ain't nothing new, y'all. Like anybody who run a game, I can show you that somebody in my generation did the same thing. Guaranteed. I mean, bar for bar. You don't even got to change the game. Why change the game? The game working. What they say, if it ain't broke, don't do what, y'all? Y'all know what I'm saying? If it ain't broke, don't do what?
Don't fix it.
Don't fix it. And the game been going on for a minute. But that's it, AC. I just want to let you know that's how, they've been doing that. There he is right there.
Why is he wearing that stuff?
Because he also was real big into Egypt. This dude was in everything, man. UFOs, Egypt, the Bible, Hinduism, all that. And it's generational. It really is.
You said what? You cut out for a second.
I said it's generational.
Wait, here. This is.
We're not telling.
Someone said he pleaded guilty because they threatened to take his kids away from their mothers, or his kids and wives. I also think he thought
That's a lie.